Evening YouTubers. So I just been scanning around for some GNU plus Linux and free and open source software news, and I noticed that an article has come up in relation to the recent statements that Mark Shuttleworth has made regarding the ending of Convergence and Unity, and I guess by proxy MIA. And I just want to take you through this register, the register article here. Basically, Mark Shuttleworth has labelled some members of the free software community as habitual, hateful, and reflexive contrarians. Not sure where he comes to the conclusion that that's actually unusual or anything like that. I mean, the guy's been part of the free software community ever since he was a developer at Debian, or maybe even before that. And I think you'll find that you take any cross-section of the community, whether it be the free and open source community or the community at large, you're going to find people who are habitual, hateful, and reflexive contrarians. You have to start up a discussion about politics or religion or something like that, and you'll get the same sorts of things. But specifically, this is about MIA, and he said that the whole MIA hate fest boggles his mind. It's the free software that does something invisible really well, and it became a political topic as irrational as climate change or gun control, where being on one side or the other was a sign of tribal allegiance. I think there's a point to be made here. It's not like MIA came out of a vacuum. There was Wayland, libWayland. In fact, I believe that in the earliest versions of MIA, they were actually based on libWayland, or early versions of libWayland. I could be wrong there, please correct me if I am, but MIA was basically a partial, maybe even a partial fork of Wayland, or at least at the conceptual level it was, even if we went at the code. And for him to basically say, he's implying that the free software community was rejecting something that was innovative just to be contrarian. I don't see really how that's true. But anyway, I mean, he's talking about how the community tends to hate on things that are mainstream, just because they are mainstream. I'm not entirely convinced that that's true. The very fact that you get people who are in the free software community are asking for Wine to support their favourite version of Windows-only software, the fact that originally there were GNU plus Linux users or free software users that were using Wine to run Steam before Steam became a native client on GNU plus Linux, tells you that just because something is mainstream, it doesn't mean people are going to hate on it. Sure, I've heard of people hating on Steam, but not to the extent that they won't use it. People actually didn't want to use MIA. They didn't want to use MIA. I mean, Intel didn't even want to support, for the best of my understanding, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but Intel didn't even want to support supplying drivers that would actually support the MIA patches, because they already had a modern display server in the form of Wayland, or a display protocol in the form of Wayland. It was a solution looking for a problem, at least in my point of view. I think you wouldn't find it. I hope maybe he's not pointing at me, or maybe I'm a contrarian, reflexive contrarian, but I don't think so. Anyway, let's go looking at the actual post. So we'll just keep a note on this bit here, okay? But yeah. He thanks a whole bunch of people and that sort of thing, and well done, kudos to that. And I wouldn't deny, I showed you a bit of a preview, not preview I guess, of Unity 8, but you know, I guess closing out that Unity 8's going and all that sort of thing. I did a bit of a backdrop against the news on that one, you saw that yourself. Then there's this, and I'll go down and quote it. We were just there before. Just give me a tick to find it again. We'll just... That's easier to find it that way, isn't it? Considering the expletives. So we have a lot of Internet of things, projects using Mia as a composer, so that code continues to receive investment, which I personally have no problem with. I did wonder whether Mia would get support, and now I'm glad to know that Internet of Things will rely on Mia. Fine, you know, the code. I don't like code going away. I really don't. I like code to be maintained or merged back into another project or something like that. As long as it doesn't go away, all that wasted effort. You know, one thing I didn't like is this snarky comment here, is that smart people love it for that. Well, what happens if you don't love it? Does that mean you're not smart in accordance, you know, in his opinion? We've already gone through this bit, so fine. He became disgusted with the hate for Mia. It really changed my opinion of the free software community. We've had all that sort of thing, you know. We had the Beryl and Compiz hate. We had the AVConf and FFmpeg, you know, stuff. We had OpenOffice and LibreOffice. Yeah, it happens. I used to think it was a privilege to serve people who also love the idea of service, but now I think many members of the free software community are just deeply antisocial types who love to hate on whatever is mainstream. When Windows was mainstream, they hated on it. Rationally, Windows does many things well and deserves respect for those. And when Canonical went mainstream, it became the focus of irrational hatred too. The very same Muppets would write about how terrible it was that iOS, Android had no competition, and then how terrible it was that Canonical was investing in, free software mind you, compositing and convergence. And he says, what you can read there. Right. I think that's Mark. I think he's angry. He was more than happy the other day to accept that the market had rejected Convergence, had rejected Unity 8. You know, maybe I'm missing the point here, but yes, he's not really talking directly about Unity. I get that, but Mia was a fundamental building block of, at least at the driver level, I suppose, or the compositing level for, not the driver, but the compositing level for Unity. People, why didn't you just build it on Wayland? Just freaking build it on Wayland. Wayland was already maturing up at that point. You know, it was already getting momentum. It had the support of a former Red Hat developer. I mean, you're fighting upstream here. And I've noticed he does this. You know, he gets very angry at times. Anyway, it is what it is. You know, we just have to accept, you know, accept that he is a member of our free software community, and albeit a very big benefactor of the free software community. I don't hate on him for his opinion. I kind of wish it was constructive and accepted that the market has spoken. Anyway, I'm going to leave it right here. I'll leave you guys to have a look at it. Take a look at the links. I'll put them down below. Hey, if you like this video, please like. If you want to subscribe, please do. There's a button there below. And just remember, your comments are always welcome below. I'll talk to you later. Bye now.